My name is Nico Papalia and I make RPGs using GameMaker. Here are 2 of them, just in case you didn't believe me. GameMaker and I wanted to run a special promotion where we tried out some community members' RPGs. We wanted to play them on stream, have an awesome time with the community, and give some feedback towards generally making RPGs as best as we can. We had a great time checking out a super diverse cast of RPGs. We discussed what we liked, what we can improve about them, and we honestly just had a really fun time playing them. And it might help you with your own development, inspiration, or just things that you've been thinking about. Here's a cut down version of the best moments, the funniest parts, and pretty much just all the best parts of the stream. First, we started with this game called Detective Baku, which is pretty early in development, but it still has a lot of interesting things that you could probably learn from if you're making an RPG as well. All the games we checked out are in different stages of development, and they all have things that you could definitely learn from and take away that'll be super useful for you making your own RPGs. So let's jump into it right now. Detective Baku, get a snack, get your Thunder Grouper plushie, and let's lock in. If you were here for what I was just saying about the little interactions and stuff like that, I really want you to try and just like look and pay attention. And like even right now, you see how kind of the text is jittering around and stuff like that. And the controls, it's just little movements and small interactions like this is kind of what I want you guys to keep your eye on. I'm gonna just like play the game a little bit now, right? Yeah, this is beautiful. You see how satisfying this is just to flip menus? That's amazing. It's almost like Mario Odyssey. That's what it reminds me of. Wow, that's pretty cool. The text is so good. I love it. I don't have any money. Oh, dude, the text is coming down. I love it. I don't have any money. Okay, we'll work for free. Man, that is crazy. That's a really in-depth text engine. You see? Did you see when certain things had emphasis on it? The whole statement shuddered and stuff like that. That's a way that you can get around having like voice acting or even just like different character sprites and stuff like that just to show emotion. I had no idea that, you know, the text generation was just advanced. This is crazy. Yes, that's a good way to put it, Excalibur. You really do feel like you're being talked to without a voice, which is pretty badass. So I am the character Baku currently. My dopamine fried TikTok receptors are already saying I would have this come up really quick, like but that's just me. Yeah, this is a really crazy first game. This is a really good one. 5 big booms for real, brother. That's awesome. Yeah, it's always so funny. This is awesome, beautiful water. The way that I did reflections in my game Athenian Rhapsody was very simple, and that was something in the original Steam demo. If any of you guys have played that, where you like go to the little magic land, like the little pink place, and you take the save file Beelzebub out of the box. I had a very rudimentary reflection. I just drew the player upside down, and I didn't even have this like cool effect of the water moving on it. And that's something that caught a lot of eyes. And I think it's mostly not just like about your technical ability or how crazy you can make it immediately, but just like how much your attention to detail really can carry you, you know? I feel like so much time and consideration was put into this dialogue. And for an RPG, that will carry you so far because you want the players to get attached to these characters as soon as possible. You know what I mean? Think about how many like random ass characters are thrown at people every day that they don't care. Like that's why Concord failed. You know what I mean? But, like these characters are already kind of exuding personality and stuff like that. They're really easy to hook into. Oh, he's following me, dude. This is literally Athenian Rhapsody ripoff. Yeah, check your mail. You're gonna get a cease and desist. I honestly feel like most times when sprites are smaller and simpler, they look better. That's something that I'll do in Gooby Garden is sometimes when I make a sprite and I don't think it looks quite right, I'll scale it down and then I'll remake it like that. Honestly, this is just such like a good piece to like study if you're getting into this, just how everything moves. There's also an emphasis. You see how not everything in the world is moving? Only the things that the player are looking at, you know what I mean? Like, only really the important aspects on screen are the ones that have the most work and detail. You kind of maximize the stack of what the player is actually going to interact with. Rizless loser? Yo. I've considered putting Riz in my RPGs. I never know if it's a good idea. Game's very quiet. Okay, that's on purpose. That's on purpose. All right, here we go! I'm gonna slime you up real good. That's like, might be inappropriate. So it's live action, and I can't step in their goop. I almost gooped. That's pretty cool. It's almost like Athenian Rhapsody. I inspect them, and then when they like me enough, or when they dislike me enough, I accuse them to befriend them. That's pretty awesome. So, I hear what you're talking about, the battle being long now. I don't think it's a problem. I think it's pretty cool, and I think that the flavor and the text and the humor is, like, one of the mainstays. I wouldn't cut down on it in the battle. Obviously, it's a little bit different right now, just because I'm showing it off to, you know, viewers and stuff like that, so I'm, like, skipping through the text a little bit, but I really like the movement and stuff like that, and I, like, crave a battle. battle. I want to do like a full battle now, you know what I mean? And look, I'm not one to talk about long battles. I have, you know, you've played Athenian Rhapsody. There's some real tough grinds where you really got to stay in your game, you know what I mean? But like, this is fun. I like this. I wonder how much more you can expand on it as well. I would say this is a good tutorial. I honestly think this is a great tutorial. I went through the ringer trying to think of a good tutorial for Athenian Rhapsody. It took me like 2 years. This is honestly a really good example of an RPG tutorial. Yeah, it's a long battle, but there's not going to be long battles like this down the line, like to this extent. I bet you that they will be wordy, but I bet you that's, you know, the reason why you're going to want to play the game, just like Athenian Rhapsody. You know, you're going to want to hear what they're saying. Dumbass! You can't say that! I do also, I saw that huge pancake, allow for a lot of text, but I usually probably use this much. And I'm talking about in my next game that you guys haven't even seen. Probably less useful. I should talk about it in terms of Athenian Rhapsody. I'm excited to see how these battles will develop and how they will, you know, the battle mechanics will just expand and stuff. Okay, I kind of see how the battle loop works. I think this is awesome. Honestly, I think there's so much you could learn from playing that. Mostly just in how to summon dopamine in your players, you know what I mean? I think that everything that should be prioritized in an RPG is prioritized. Okay, you combine the clues to find and follow certain logic to win. Okay, awesome. I think that's a great battle loop. I like the tutorial. You could play it and probably also learn about managing scope. You know, you see how the text boxes are, obviously there was a lot of work put into them, and the world is complete and compact, and it doesn't take so much work to set up every single room, you know what I mean, so that they can build the world out. Great text mechanics, great cutscene mechanics, very juicy and nice, very unique battle loop with a good tutorial. That's what I would say. I would say if you're trying to learn about what makes RPGs great, like you have a good RPG, how do you make it great? This is like an awesome example, you know what I mean? That's what I think. Yeah, that's something that I would really like to see. I would love to see how as the game progresses, how the battles change and become different and stuff like that, because, you know, they're fun. It's what I like. I like action RPGs. I don't really always enjoy a turn-based, you know, and I think that sometimes, you know, we're moving in that direction just as a society, you know. We got Cocomelon, we've got TikTok, like we can't just be clicking flamethrower anymore. We have to do something too, or else we're gonna go on our phone. All right, and this one is Grass Elemental. This is the second one that we chose. Grass Elemental, the demo. As an adventure RPG inspired by classic Pokemon and anti-RPGs, that's the shit I like. Your mission in Grass Elemental is to escape the evil forest, my bad, you're stuck in, shifting your perspective of the world to make your way through the unique style, The unique style of the battle system has a player dupe their enemies by using their wits and learning from the stories they experience along the way. Okay, Undertale X Sonic RPG? No! Get out of here. Leave me alone. So anyways, we're gonna play the game, all right? Obviously temporary sound effect, but I know that this is the Pokemon sound. Oh, I pick. Okay, that's pretty cool. So I wonder if this is like picking my Pokemon version, right? Yeah, this is really, it really does feel very like GBC, right? I'm gonna pick the Dirge of the Forest. No, I'm gonna pick the Tail of the Land. The text in this is pretty good as well, you know what I mean? But it's also fitting for the vibe. If the text generator that Detective Baku used was in this game, it probably wouldn't feel like it really fit, you know what I mean? I wish that that didn't auto-progress, but instead was a prompt. That's always tough. Tough to gauge how fast somebody's gonna go through it. I like this cutscene a lot, though. I think it's pretty cool. I think so as well. Typewriter effect, I think, is pretty crucial in most RPGs, you know what I mean? River City Ransom NES font. I'm not familiar with the font, but this is a pretty good font. I think that everything kind of shows a complete vibe, you know what I mean? Like, it's not only about making sure things are satisfying, but it's also about making sure that everything is cohesive. Even the soundtrack is very Pokemon-like. Oh, wow, it's just full screened. That's pretty crazy. I wasn't expecting it to do that. That's pretty clever. I think that is pretty clever for a little GameMaker game. That was peak. There was a little trick, right? Peak coding. Choose my character. Who am I? Girl or boy? Girl? Boy. Boy. I'm a man. I'm a man. I don't play as a girl. Whoa, L. O. You fucker. This is some shit I would do. That's the worst part. Yo, I was like, yo, nice bug, man. Yo, that was actually good. See, that's hilarious, man. That was pretty funny. Do more things like that. Do more things like that. That's hilarious. Wow, this really is... Okay, now I understand what you're talking about by anti-RPG. This is really funny. I wish the game window would stop moving though. Can you stop doing that? Anti-streamer game. I'm not trying to talk smack. It's just, you know, sometimes things are cool like that, but in application in certain scenarios, they might cause a little bit of difficulty. This is pretty cool. So this is the girl and she turned evil. I think that the window moving back, like full screening and full screening out, is pretty cool. I think it's to show the character coming closer and farther, which I think is pretty awesome. I wonder if it would be effective, like let's say you wanted to put this on console or something like that, to kind of make a simulated game screen and to zoom out and back into that, you know what I mean? You could even have like a pretend Game Boy come up, and as the game starts, the player zooms into it, and then when something like that happens, it pulls out, you know what I mean? It is a cool trick, and I think it has merit. I think it can be perfected. I think it's unique and it's creative. Oh, I am human. Okay, so I am human and player is player. That's pretty cool. It's pretty nice to establish that. That's something that I do in my games as well. Click on her attacks. Whoa, how do I click? Is this scripted death? Oh, click using my mouse. See, you know, usually when I get into a game and it's just keyboard, I assume that there's no mouse involved. Usually because when you port it to console, you know, console doesn't have a mouse. Maybe that's just the way that I think, but usually, at least just when I make games, I have my target platforms in mind and I try and stick within the constraints of that. I think that this one strays a lot and is very creative based on it being a PC game, you know what I mean? I would maybe put a little blurb before the whole story that says this game uses the mouse and the keyboard, you know what I mean? Just so that people know. I always think stick to one or the other, like keyboard and mouse or just keyboard. If you want to be on consoles, I wouldn't use a mouse, you know what I mean? Most people don't really think about that though, you know what I mean? Oh, that looks pretty cool. That was a good effect. I like how it breaks the GBC kind of vibe there, you know what I mean, for that like effect of you hitting it away. Yeah, you know what? I understand that. I kind of felt that way too at first, but you know what? I also think that this being an anti-RPG kind of brings it into a different vibe, you know what I mean? Like we went into this game thinking it was going to be like Game Boy Color kind of vibe, but now it's more like a modern, the PC is messing with this kind of game, you know what I mean? I'm kind of looking forward to see how I use my mouse even for UI, which is pretty good. I do like that. But I can't click to progress text. I would like that. If I can use my mouse to click UI and stuff like that, I would also like to have it to progress the text. You know what I mean? Because I have to use a space bar for that. Whoo! Stop! I'm using my trackpad and my mouse. Is that cheating? Oh, stop! How long does this take? Come on, man. I'm gonna get carpal tunnel. Oh! Oh, like that! Clever! Clever! You made me think. You made me solve it by myself. I bet you that was clever programming as well. This is really interesting. This is almost like the impossible quiz. I really like my growth and change. Here's my growth, and here's my change. So, you know what? Everything we took from Space and Baku's game, you know what we can take from this is how to be creative as shit, you know what I mean? Yeah, the impossible quiz is another thing that I think is really great for playing games. That's how I took a lot of inspiration for it when I made Thundergoober fight in the, for the final boss fight in my free spin-off demo, Thundergoober's Personality Dungeon. I took inspiration from it. So, what's happening here is, you know how they have the walk cycle? This is likely one sprite. Since it looks like I'm not walking, have the first sprite index be with his leg out. You know what I mean? And that'll probably stop this from happening. So when I battle, I turn to this guy. I'm kind of trying to get a handle on the aesthetic shifting. What am I doing? What am I doing? I feel like what I'm not getting is a real grasp on the battle system. Like, is there a core loop, or is it always kind of different, or is that kind of the core loop? Memory. Okay, and I earned a memory. I remember that. This is a little hard to read. So I really have to choose to fight, is what it seems like, right? I have to click it a few times. I'm more of a... Oh! Wow, this looks awesome. You set up a whole alternative battle system just for this one little gotcha moment. That's crazy. I'm really liking this. It like looks so primitive at first, but it's obviously not. I'm not really sure how the pattern weaknesses work. I don't really understand that part yet. It seems like sometimes maybe it's impossible for me to dodge. There is a little bit of discrepancy. Honestly, if there was any feedback, I would say, is that just, like, user understandability. But is that just me? Is that just me not understanding? Or is it, like, you know, just seem like maybe it's a little bit tougher just to kind of get a grasp on some things, like, you know. But something that I learned while making Athenian Rhapsody is that explicitly telling the user how everything works as if they were almost an idiot, you know what I mean? And you know, you have a very funny game. You could even use humor to say, like, hey, stupid guy, this is how it works, you know, oh, ding-a-ding-a-ding, you know. people will be 10 times more confused than you could ever assume them to be. You know what I mean? I also didn't really understand that I couldn't interact until this animation was done playing, and then I have to click it again to prompt. It's just, this is all just QOL stuff, you know what I mean? Like quality of life, which took me a long time to kind of get the hang of, and even in Athenian Rhapsody, it's pretty lacking, my quality of life, you know what I mean? Yeah, I think that the kind of design confusion is also a really good aspect. I mean, I think this is awesome. This is like a really cool game. You know what though, is that I don't know if this is one that can get away with no explanation, you know what I mean? What if just it had a little box that said, click here to this, and it bounces, you know what I mean? Just something simple, just a little bit, and there's a big sentiment of show, not tell, but I feel like if you have a game that's text heavy in the first place, it's alright to use text to teach people things, you know what I mean? That's at least what I think sometimes. So this will kill him, won't it? I'll kill him. I feel like there's a lot of stories going on. It's pretty good text too, pretty good text emphasis, like in Space Baku. This is not an RPG like Detective Baku or Athenian Rhapsody where you are plopped and you're tasked with venturing. This is like an RPG where you are guided through a story and you're trying to understand the story, you know what I mean? Which I think is pretty cool. I thought he would have put something on the end there, just knowing how much this game messes with me. Thanks for playing. All right, guess that's the end of it. That was awesome. That was a really good experience, and I feel like, you know, we talked about a fair number of things through it, kind of went through the confusion together, but I really like that. I feel like leaning into it is really cool. I think that the window thing, knowing all I know about it now, I think it would be much more effective if I wasn't streaming, you know what I mean? That was really sick. There's a lot to unpack there. I feel like, you know, don't limit your creativity by, you know, console limitations or anything like that, or things that you think might come up down the road that you have to watch out for. I feel like, honestly though, I know that, you know, this stream is for a little bit of like critique as well as teaching, but I would just make sure that everything controls wise, it's not going to take away from your gotchas and stuff like that. Like, just make sure that, like, say I'm like an imbecile, you know what I mean? Because I'm streaming, it's kind of, you know, a lot of things going on. There's a wild animal in my room. She's finally asleep now, but biggest shortcoming with Athenian Rhapsody, you know what I mean? Learning to teach people things. So this was really awesome. This is Room RPG. This reminded me of like a blend of Athenian Rhapsody and Undertale, but like, there we go, Deemstar. Yo, Dev is in chat, Deemstar. But it was like a step further in a new direction as well, which I thought was really cool. I haven't played it. I've seen a fair bit of gameplay and stuff like that, but I thought this would, you know, well, all of us, you know, me, Sam, Ross, Becca, we all thought it would be pretty cool to play, you know. So let's check it out. I'm going into it as blind as you guys are, you know. I feel like it's a little bit hard to read, but also I have dyslexia, so I don't know if that's a contributing factor. Probably. Sorry, dyslexia cope, no Johns. Okay, wait, what am I talking about? What is going on screen, and how did you make that? That's crazy. You could probably just change the kerning a little bit if you just make them a little spaced out differently. I don't know how much control you have over it. This is just crazy though. This is so outside of my realm of knowledge, just how to make something like this. I like the font a lot as well. I think it's just a me thing because, oh, these are faces. These haven't always been faces, have they though? This is crazy. Even just the overworld with this kind of scrolling background is crazy. This is like the clown part in Athenian Rhapsody. I don't know if it probably was a contributing factor from the bitrate and also just the font a little bit. I would honestly probably keep it. Sorry, the chair is rolling, it's freaking me out. Honestly, you could probably keep it and then just add an accessibility function for just a different font, you know what I mean? That's probably what I would do, so you don't really have to sacrifice the integrity, but if you can tweak it, that's what I would do, you know what I mean? Yeah, the art is really crazy. This is a really cohesive vibe, nice palette and everything like that. Yeah, I am. Oh, that skips text. Okay, I see. I should do that in my games too. Is baseball the battle mechanic in this game? That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, this is funny. This looks more like a JRPG fight than baseball. Yeah, that's actually kind of silly. Oh, that's my HP. Okay, maybe it could be a little easier to read that one as well, because that's something that a player's gonna glance at. You know what I mean? Glance at. Like, it's stylized really nicely, but you know, it kind of will take a second to deduce what number it is. Oh, you guys can't see that. Sorry, I'm like the worst streamer ever. At least this is kind of something that I think about in having an action RPG as well, is that they're gonna be looking at the HP and stuff like that very quickly, right? While they're in turmoil or whatever's going on. So I try and make this, you know, stylized but as visible as possible. Grab it with the Z button. Ooh! Fury points. I thought it was friend points. Yeah, the background in battle is very beautiful and not distracting at all. It's all, like, I almost didn't say anything about it just because of how natural it is. This is really crazy. I wonder how you program this. And this is made in an old version of GameMaker as well, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, which is really, like, we were talking about that this morning. Like, that's so impressive, dude. I feel like I really have to lock in to understand. Catching colored bullets. Maybe that text can be emphasized for stupid people like myself. So it says, colored bullets! Catch colored bullets! So that when I'm looking at the game, I can just be like, oh, okay, you know what I mean? Oh. Cool. With all of your very intense skill that you very obviously demonstrated, I feel like that part could probably beefed up a lot more so that I know exactly what the window is for me to hit the ball, and you know, you could definitely do a lot there. Almost kind of how like Detective Baku does it, because I know you're smart enough. I know you've got the skills. Look at this thing. That could probably be expanded on. Obviously, there's like more you can do on the tutorial, just like visibility and stuff like that, but like tutorials are the hardest part of making RPG. You know what I mean? Like teaching people. It's not enough to make a good game. You have to teach somebody to play it after that. It's like, geez, man, you gotta do everything. How do people do menu animations? It's called lerp. This guy's really ugly. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Sorry. Am I gonna get canceled? He can be ugly. He can be ugly. You know, Gilroy. Like dog. Okay, I'm glad that you bleeped out the text, but I wouldn't even put any bad words. Oh, I ripped through the floor. I think I love it. It's almost like the South Park episode when they try to lose baseball. Oh, okay, so I time it. I get it. This is pretty cool. I like how the battle UI interacts with the action box as well. You know what I mean? That's just what I'm calling an action box. That's always something that I try to do late in Athenian Rhapsody. I feel like it makes the game much more immersive, and I think that you do that very well. This is almost kind of reminiscent of like Undertale, how it does it in that game as well. Oh, I didn't know there was a second one going in there. I wish that it was more impact when I got hit, when I knew I got hurt. Oh, shift is to run? Okay, cool. No, shift is not to run. You're trolling me. Yeah, this is awesome. I feel like there's little baseball sounds too, or am I stupid? Nice. This is awesome. I really like the combat. Once you get into just the combat loop, it's really fun. Like how Athenian Rhapsody could be like a step from Undertale, like this is like a step in a different direction, not from Athenian Rhapsody, you know what I mean? Which is really cool. I love the humor, I love the dialogue, and I really like the combat UI. I feel like if it were to nail, the talk action is just a gag. Oh, dude, you're screwing me. If this were really to lock in like a nice tutorial and like just maximize user visibility and stuff like that, like this is crazy, dude. I can't wait for this to be done. Oh yeah, I played this a little bit before. It's pretty cool. It's on GX as well. I've been doing Gooby Garden on GX, and we're actually gonna be putting Athenian Rhapsody up there too. Awesome. Yeah, I do have trust issues, dude. Do you know my community? This is an awesome story introduction. You know why? Because it's not too wordy. It's very visually appealing. It moves nicely. The background effect is amazing. I can't even believe this is made in GameMaker. Not to, you know, be like, oh, GameMaker do some amazing things, but like this is beautiful, you know? 3 people on this team. I don't understand English very well. If I miss something, forgive me. Write me in the chat, guys. I mean, this effect is just awesome. This Embers. Wow, pretty cool characters. Pretty cool art. I'll deal with a couple of savages and then head out. And these guys have really good animations as well. Left mouse button to select a hero and move him to the field. See, this is what I mean by like good, clear directions. You know what I mean? Like it just kind of lays it out for you. This is a very clear indicator of what I'm supposed to do and how the controls work. You know what I mean? Basic effects from GameMaker Studios. Yeah, that's something that I really like about GameMaker, is that it's very easy to make very impressive effects. Okay. Health, armor, and special. Dude, this is an amazing fucking tutorial, dude. I'm gonna have to bleep that out. But like, look, I'm a big fan of matching color coding. I know that it's not always so accessible because some people do have color blindness or selective color blindness, but you know, I can clearly tell what the health bar is, what the armor bar and the special attack bar is without really cluttering the UI with all this text, you know what I mean? Fire Emblem vibes, of course. I love the way that these guys are animated. You can see their health, armor, and attack cooldown. Wow, okay. It's like so simple. Yeah, tutorials take a lot of effort, but that's exactly how you gotta do it, man. I'm genuinely very impressed, you know what I mean? Like, so they auto battle too, I like that. Dude, you're like, visibility is so good. Like, this is so easy to understand, and the UI is very good. Go and attack or stand and defend. Does this mean that I'm gonna stand and defend? Dude, this is like really good. What's your guys' release timeline? Like, what's the production looking like? I'd love to know. And this is so different than the RPGs we were just looking at. Viper! Ow! Viper! Tutorials are really hard, and I'll tell you that because not only through Athenian Rhapsody and my next RPG, but also Gooby Garden, the free-to-play game I'm making for mobile. That's a whole nightmare making a tutorial for. That's gonna be a real rabbit hole. See how simple this character is, the professor, and it's just ominous? There's like no identity to this character, which makes him easy to claim and like, you know what I mean? Sometimes I feel like the more simple a character can be, the more likable it is for everybody. Like Bloodhound from Apex Legends, you know what I mean? This looks really cool now, seeing it in action. Has anybody played Pokemon Conquest? I got really into that game a little while ago, and I really liked it. I want to make a game like that one day, too. Dude, this is awesome. I think this is a great... And is this public? Like, can we post a link to this in the video? Like, this is sick. I would love for people to see, like, kind of how to make, like, a tactical game, you know what I mean? And kind of scale players through in terms of tutorials and add elements over time slowly, you know what I mean? Like, that. Like, I'm understanding all of it. All right, we are playing Starsong, the Lunar Hour. And the Lunar Hour seems to be 8:18 p.m. tonight. All right, we're in. Starsong, the Lunar Hour. Chapter 1, A New World. Love it. Silver sword equipped. I like the text noise. Yeah, very Deltarune. How do I, shoot, I just missed that tutorial. Sorry, I'm a little stupid. My guy has a cut on their face. Tab. Oh! Very awesome, dude. Pretty cool. I like the simple color palettes and stuff like that. This is very, you could tell it's a house. I think that's very effective and simple, and you don't need anything more, you know? I wish I was able to auto-progress these little dots text as well. I like that text effects. Do you use Scribble? That's what I use. You know what you should do there when you say you do this? Is just give them an option of the text, say, and let them choose two different things. You know what I mean? Like, one can be weird, one can be funny, and it'll still lead to the same thing, but they'll feel like they interacted as the character. You know what I mean? It's tough to make that though, but you already have the text boxes, so you got the foundation. Check this out. You see this line down here on the bottom of the room? Like that. If you were to have that be open, it would signal to the player more that I can walk down there. You know what I mean? They might think that this is a closed wall. Here's a tidbit. If you want to make your world feel bigger, make your character slower. If you want to make the world smaller, make the character faster. I learned that. The protagonist in my next game is faster, and the world feels smaller because of it, which I don't like, but I like that he's fast. That has nothing to do with this. I just thought it was useful. I like that they walk together. They sprite together. This reminds me of a road near my house. I almost just docked my location. The room transition, I think it is a little slow, but I think it also fits with the pacing of the game. You know what I mean? Like, this kind of puts your brain in kind of a slow pace. I think the room transition fits with it. This reminds me so much of when I started Athenian Rhapsody. That's awesome. Sam. Ooh, and the protagonist talks. That's pretty cool. All right, so you know what? Maybe you don't have to give them the options to do things, or you probably could back there just for flavor, but this is pretty cool. You have a talking protagonist. Oh, I wanted to check back there. I wanted to take note. If this is the Mystic Forest, maybe there could be like a palette change or something like that as well, like something more drastic just to signify. You know what I mean? Did you make this song? This is awesome. I really like it. Yeah, this shit's awesome, man. Good job. OST is pretty cool. I don't think ARP is still... Oh my god! I'm dying! He's gonna play this too. Isn't this gas? Hey, sue this guy. I think it is pretty impressive. I can never do it. It's just too much. It's just too much. Oh yeah, I did. I did that. I did make that horrible song for Athenian Rhapsody. We should make an Athenian Rhapsody asset pack that people are free to use in their games, right? Is this a scooter? I didn't know what that was. Maybe it would be a good idea to disable that once the puzzle is complete. Ooh! Fight time. When attacking, awesome. Okay, cool. The window is a little small for me on my computer, so I'm having a little bit of trouble reading it, but that's a me thing. You guys can read it better. Yeah, I like it too. Attack, defend, item. Cool. Ooh! Whoa, he already took a swing at me, this motherfucker. What is it like? Yeah, dude, OST is gas. Ah! I like this glove. I like the pointed glove. What would Room RPG developers say? They would probably say, "You're gloved in, clever." This is a pretty good battle scene. I like his animation. I like the UI. I think it's very simple. I think this is effective. I think the way that you're showing me how to attack him works very well as well too. And I think just over time, as you grow as a developer, you'll just juice it up. You'll do things, and you'll just keep building it and stuff like that. But like, this is a great foundation. I think that it works. If anything, I would move the number. I would make it at least jump off of him so it's a little more legible. Yeah, I like the stance as well. I think it's very good. How much attack does Baby Girl have over there? The skeleton, I mean. Pretty cool. I think because it's a little more Deltarune-y, I was expecting like an action RPG, but I like that. Press X. Ooh! Could I do that the whole time? Huh, just like in Zelda. I would leave him right outside the water. I love a nice boing. You should let him do this all the time, just for boing. So, I'm assuming that you have this character and you're having them have a Z value that raises up and down, right? Is that how you're doing it, or how are you doing it? You know what you can do then? Is when they jump up and down, try this for a shadow, for a different shadow, right? Try drawing the sprite, draw sprite EXT, with like 0.5 opacity with black color, right? You know how draw EXT works, and have it stay at the Y value, and it'll look like he's jumping, and it'll show him too. You know what else you can do is then you could even start kind of taking that Z value and kind of, let's say, multiplying it by adding it by like a fraction of the jump height, so it'll look like the shadow kind of moves a little bit. You know what I mean? That's what I like to do for shadows sometimes. That's just an idea. You don't have to do that. I'm just wondering, how can we bring the contrast from having a shadow and not having a shadow? You know what I mean? I love the jump though. This makes it so much more fun. Ooh, that's impressive. That the Z value changes. I'm gonna be honest with you. I always thought that this was very difficult to do. That's almost like Super Mario RPG. I wish there was like something I could do to see his health bar. You know what I mean? Maybe like a check tactic. Oh, this is a mini boss, dude. I'm gonna get murked. That was an awesome game, man. Get out of here, Rich Piano. Welcome, Nico. We are the Tour Goobers. What? Yeah, this is gas. How do I full screen? Does anybody know? Control Enter? Dude, you just posted my address online. You know what? I'm just gonna play it off my Streamlabs. I'm just gonna play it, yeah, I'm just gonna play it like this. That's fine. All right, well, you win today because of this. Hi, losers in chat. I'm being trolled. Well, I like the camera movement. It's kind of like Athenian Rhapsody, you know what I mean? Where it lags behind and it catches up. That's something that I always really like in RPGs. Is this like a real game you're making, or did you make this just to mess with me? This is like so cute and cozy with the music and the goobers and stuff. This is awesome. I like the room transition. Oh, this is the world. Not much out here, really. Ooh, dude, I love the wind. This looks great. This looks really good, too. Very clear indication of boundaries. I like that. Nice, simple grass with a little bit of accentation. That's what I think, too. That's what I always think is best. You know, I tried making a textured grass at first, and I figured this was better. I love the older overworld. This is very cozy. I like the trees a lot. Do you use, what do you use for that? Is that Juice Effects, the program? There's ways you can also do this through code with sine waves. That's how I animate all my battle sprites. Oh, I can? Oh, and I'm a fast little blind kid with a bowl cut. I actually don't use sequences. I tried before, but I figured I don't like it. Not that I don't like it, it's just, you know, I already like what I do, and I didn't really want to change. Yeah, I use something like that too. I use an alternative program when I want to animate stuff like this, you know what I mean? Special. I don't use sequences, I use sine waves, and I animate a lot of things through code. So I'll have a character and I'll animate, like, his head specifically. Yeah, all my lerps and everything is in code. Well, you guys know, have you guys seen Thunder Goober's battle sprite, or, you know, in the demo or whatever like that, you know, his body parts all move differently. In my newest game, that's the same thing, but there's also a surface, and I use that to change it around like the camera, almost like Pokemon Black and White. That's pretty much what the new enemies look like in my next game. Try out this program that I'm putting in chat. It's really old and there's a lot of limitations, but I think it's really good. I use it a lot, and I use it for Gooby Garden too. Yeah, I mean, when you get it down the first time, you kind of know what you're doing, and you can expand upon it, and it just kind of, like, things like Dynamo, like Dynamo's battle sprite is very, very complicated. That thing is a pain in the butt, because there's the different states when he powers down, when he shoots in the air. Actually, a lot of you guys probably didn't even fight Dynamo, because I had to, he was limited time. Yeah, the wind is, I want to know how you made the wind too. I've never had too much luck with effects. I tried them briefly, but I kind of like making them through code instead. What a perfect game to end on. This is like the best ending note game that I could have thought of. This has been a long stream. This is the longest stream I've done. 2 hours, 20 minutes. I know that some people stream all day, but it's just, oh my God, not for me. Not that I don't like streaming. This has been a lot of fun. This was a good stream. I had a lot of fun. A lot of new faces. Definitely a great time. This is going to make a great video too. All right, guys. Thanks for sticking with me the whole time. I'll give you one for the road. Oh, that's not a good one. One for the road. Yeah. That is it, my friends. I'm going to end it now. Everybody, join the Athenian Rhapsody Discord. Follow me on social medias. Join that Discord because that is where you will be able to bother me with the rest of the children. Goodbye, everyone.